100 Days of Ming Comics Round 3, Week 15. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. We also create comics as part of the 100 Days of Ming Comics Challenge. That's what I've been working on since the beginning of the year. And it's finally wrapped up. Actually, it's more than wrapped up. The deadline was like last Tuesday, I believe, but my updates usually come out on a Monday, so I had like this extra day that I had to chronicle because that's part of the challenge. I couldn't just like leave it hanging. So I am back again. I completed my pages last week, but then I decided, you know what? I think it needs a little something else. So I decided to that I was gonna try in a day's time to do some shading and everything, and I did that, which is awesome. So yes, I turned my project in on time. For the 100 Days of Ming Comics Anthology. Maybe I should rewind just a little bit. This is the last show, and I try to mention what the challenge is on every show and what the anthology is. So bear with me if you heard this before, but here we go again. For old time's sake, yes. The 100 Days of Ming Comics Challenge is where you spend 30 minutes a day, every day, working on your own personal comic book project, and then you vlog about it, you talk about it, you let people know, you go door to door. I don't know if anyone's actually gone door to door, mostly just online. You want to let people online through social media, whether that's YouTube, like I'm doing, Facebook, Instagram, or your social media of choice. I think those are like the big three. But just let people know, you know, what your progress is, just to kind of hold you accountable. And basically, yeah, you do that for 100 days straight, and if you finish those 100 days, you have completed the challenge. I've completed the challenge now. I can honestly say that I've completed it 3 times. And that's pretty high up there. There's not too many people who have done it 3 times. There are a few. There are people that, I think Kevin Cross, who started this, I don't know if he has the record. I know I'm not sure. There may be some other people that are up there too, but I think he's done it like 5 times. It's crazy, but he started it. So, and there's a lot of other people that have done it. There are some people that have done it 3 times too. But it's almost like that SNL skit, you know, the 5 Timers Club. I think I don't know if there's a 3 Timers Club or if I gotta wait to do it 5 times. I don't know if I'll make it 5 times. We'll see. You know, I keep saying I've done it enough and I'll never do it again, but I might. You never know. But anyway, so if you have completed the challenge, then you're eligible to be included in the 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology. We've done one of these before with a life and space theme. This one is a werewolves and unicorns theme and other mythical creatures. My comic book, it's based on a police song from the 80s called Synchronicity 2, which sort of features the Loch Ness Monster. So that's my mythical creature. And it's a story I've been kind of wanting to tell, and everything kind of fell into place because there was a Loch Ness Monster in the story. It kind of fit in with this. So I'm glad that I got to do it. And it's funny because I attempted to do this story a while back, and maybe I wasn't in the right place or whatever, but I was not happy with it. But I am really happy with the way this came out, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys when this anthology comes out. The other thing I'm working on right now is the cover artwork, and I don't have any of that to show you right now. Still in some of the preliminary stages, but I've got some ideas and everything, and hopefully that will, you know, hopefully I can wow you guys with that as well. But I do want to show you kind of what I did, you know, taking this line art and adding some shading and everything. I think it did help it pop out a little bit. As much as I'd like just pure black and white, I mean, and the printed work can never do it justice. Once you see these pages, and I've seen pages of friends of mine, and I've seen, you know, pages of, you know, people who work for whatever, you know, professional comics, Marvel, DC, or anyone. Anytime you see these, you know, these pages up close and personal, it really is like, wow, man, so much gets lost with the printing and even the coloring. And in my opinion, I love just looking at that original black and white, but you do lose some of that. But I can see why sometimes you need to add that color or the shading and everything to kind of help make it all make sense and everything. So that's what I decided to do, and I'm also happy with the way that came out. So why don't, instead of just talking about that, why don't I share that with you? I'll show you what I did. Well, I did it. I wrapped up the anthology story, and I decided to do just kind of a last minute. I decided to throw in some shading, so that's what I'm going to show you guys here. Of course, the beginning, it's like the beginning is the hardest part is always just the flatting. It's funny because once you get everything flatted, the rest of it goes fairly fast, but that flatting takes so long, and it's kind of something that I probably should try to hand off to somebody else, but it's such a time crunch. I didn't have time to like research or look for people to do that for me or anything like that. So I did it myself, and but I am happy, and you'll kind of see as we progress. You'll see how everything turned out. But I think it does help the readability of the comic that I end up doing some of the tones. And I looked at some of the stuff other people are doing, and a lot of other people are not just, they are doing, you know, some grayscale, not just straight black and white. So I think that'll kind of help it fit in the book pretty nice, even though I do really love just to look at the black and white, you know, pages by themselves. But I think this is gonna, it's gonna make it a little more legible and everything. So yeah, that's gonna, you know, now that this is done, I've turned in these pages, I've uploaded them, everything, so they're ready to go. I sound like Mike gave people like a week extension, which might end as I'm posting this. That week extension probably, I'm assuming, would end. So I don't know where everyone is. Hopefully everyone got their stuff in, especially with that week extension. So the project should be coming together pretty soon. Of course, as of right now, the project is without a cover, and I'm the one that's tasked to create the cover. So I've been sort of, you know, really kind of scratching my head trying to figure out what I want to do with that cover. And I mean, the things I do know, and I don't know if I think I've talked about this on some of the podcasts or some of the hangouts or whatever, but one of the challenges, you know, this is the second book in the series. So for the cover, you know, what do I do? Do I look at what Kevin Cross did on the first issue and try to kind of replicate that as a style? Or should I try to go a different route completely? And so, because what I like, you know, I usually compare that to like, okay, so, you know, I'm older, so I'm going to go back to some like old rock and roll covers, but maybe if you're younger, you may be familiar. But if you're familiar with like the Iron Maiden album covers, they sort of had a theme that sort of went throughout. And it was kind of their character Eddie and different, you know, each one had a sort of different story, like a progression of where this character was or whatever. And like he would, like, at first he had like this long, he was kind of like a zombie type guy. He had these long hair, and then he like was like in a mental institution. His head was shaved, and then he was kind of in space or like a futuristic setting, and he had kind of wires coming out of him. I don't know if that's the correct order. I'm not actually like a huge Iron Maiden fan, but I did love their album covers. But the point is that was sort of a series. You can always tell one of their album covers by the cover because it kind of followed that look. Now, there's also that you can find that with a lot of like prog rock, like groups like Yes and Asia and stuff like that. They sort of had that look throughout, and it didn't really vary. You could always tell one of their covers because they look so familiar. But you know, if you're the kind of artist that doesn't want to kind of piggyback on what they've done before and wants to kind of reinvent them every time, you might come up with a totally different album cover. You know, I could throw out a bunch of different, you know, different examples of that. But like, let's say like Beastie Boys, their big, you know, their big sort of debut hit. I mean, they had some stuff before that, but the one that just kind of just blew up for them was License to Ill. And on that cover, it was like a really cool, like this painted cover of this airplane that had just kind of, it's upended and it just kind of like it plowed straight into the ground. But it's this painted cover, so you know they could have easily said, "Oh, that was a hit," you know, that was a big hit. So we could kind of do something similar to that, have this painted cover on the next thing, and they went totally different with their next album, Paul's Boutique, and it was just, you know, this
giant fold out of this area in, I'm assuming Brooklyn, because that's where they're from. I'm not really familiar with that part of New York, but it just folded out, and it was just like a panoramic shot. And then after that, they went with this sort of black and white shot in their next album of them just sitting on a curb or whatever. And then, you know, but each one kind of had a different thing, because I think they tried to go with a different sort of sound or vibe each time. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, which way I want to go with the cover, just to use all that stuff as an analogy. So I think what I'm going to do is I want there to be some uniformity. So but I don't want to kind of, I'm not going to continue exactly what Kevin Cross did, because he had this really cool, like, monotone, like two color, you know, which I love to work. If you've seen any of my prints, I work in limited color palettes mostly. But for this one, what I'm going to do is, what I am going to take from Kevin is, I'm going to take like the design of it, the spine. So when you have them sitting next to each other on a bookshelf, they're going to look like the same book, you know, I mean the same series. But then the front cover, what I want to do is sort of an homage to, if anyone's familiar with EC Comics, and sort of like EC Comics did a lot of things, but they, you know, probably most notable that people know about is Tales from the Crypt. Now, if you're familiar with the way that was laid out, it's been you know, sort of homaged many times since then, and you know, I have a lot of other covers where they kind of went with that look. It's just kind of this classic look where you know, it seems like more than 2/3 of the top of the page is just the logo, like a solid color bar with the logo. And we've got a lot of type we got to put in there, because it's good. The title is Werewolves and Unicorns and Other Mythical Creatures. So that's going to take up a lot of it. And then off to the left, at the very top, you've sort of got this bar that kind of runs down, and it usually says, I don't know, I'm trying to remember what exactly it says. I guess it might depend on whatever comic book it is. But there I'll probably put like the little bar, and it's sideways type, you know, and I'll probably put the 100s, and then somewhere in there I'll put like the Anthology 2 or whatever. Like, it's got a lot of different like little logos and things kind of pasted in there. But then under that you've got the main image area. And so I've got an idea for that. I don't want to reveal this yet, but I just got back from a design conference in Georgia, and I met up with a friend of mine, friend of the show, Corey Kerr, and we sort of brainstormed some ideas, and I came up with an idea, and I think Corey kind of steered me in this direction. But we threw out a bunch of things, but I came up with an idea that I think will really work. And I was struggling with, you know, Werewolves and Unicorns, how do I show that on the front cover? It's very, you know, it's kind of, do I show werewolf and unicorn facing off? Do I show, like, I don't know, man. It was just kind of two weird things to kind of add together. But I think I came up with kind of a cool idea, so I'm anxious to get started on that. And the other element so that will be sort of the main part, kind of what I came up with. But the other element is usually there's these 3 circles, and in those 3 circles I'm going to put, and it usually says featuring, and because most of the EC Comics were sort of anthologies, like they would maybe have like 3 stories. So even though we got more than 3 stories, I'm just going to say featuring, and then some of the more common mythical creatures that aren't werewolves and unicorns. So that's going to sort of be the look of it. So I think it's a best of both worlds. It's going to carry some of the design elements of what we did before, but it's going to be something new. Something new that's still something classic, because we're borrowing this from this great style of this EC Comics. But yeah, I'm getting happy and getting excited to actually get working on this.
Okay, so there you go. That will pretty much conclude the 3rd round of 100 Days of Main Comics for me. Yeah, I don't know how I managed to kind of pull through on another one of these deadlines with all the other stuff I had going on, but yeah, that was a really fun project. I'm glad I got a chance to do a story this time around, because the first anthology I only did a pinup, and I kind of, you know, I really wanted to do a story, and it was a lot of work and everything, and you know, we're not getting paid for this. When we run the Kickstarter, we will get reimbursed with copies of the books, which we can then turn around and sell. I think there's going to be a lot of demand for this book, because I mean, the amount of talent that is involved in this book and just everything I've seen is just, I mean, it's amazing, and more stories than before. And you know, this thing is just packed with just so, I think this thing is, I can't wait to see how this thing goes on Kickstarter and everything, or wherever we decide to crowdfund it. I'm assuming Kickstarter, but we'll find that out later. And you know, I'm anxious to kind of see what Mike has in mind, and I'm hopeful that my cover that I'm working on is going to stand up to the original cover that Kevin Cross did. But I just want to thank everyone for following along with me on this journey. It's been super fun. And so what's next? I mean, I completed the challenge, so what am I doing next? Well, I got a bunch of stuff that I've been meaning to get to on the channel, and hopefully now it'll give me a little free time to focus more on that. I've got, you know, I'm planning on doing the tour of the underground lair, which I want to share with you. I still have got to do my Disney trip, where I went through all the lands of Disneyland and did a sketch inspired by each one of the lands. I'll have that video coming soon. I've got sort of a kind of a drawing type game show that I think it's going to be, I think people are really going to dig it, but there's still a lot of behind the scenes stuff I got to do to make that happen. But another thing that I want to do is I want to do a series, basically comic books, kind of soup to nuts, the whole, from coming up with your ideas to a completed comic. I just do a series of that. So I got some more prep work on that. And then back to some of the other stuff, like the marker reviews and maybe some more art hacks and things like that. I know a lot of people maybe have been waiting for that kind of stuff. Maybe not everyone's as much into the 100-day challenge, and those people probably aren't watching this because that's what this is. But anyway, so I got a lot of cool stuff coming, so stay tuned. I'm looking forward to getting into some of that stuff. And thanks again for following me along on this journey. It's been super awesome, super proud of the work that I did, and just amazed to be in such excellent company with everyone else that's doing work on the 100 Days of Making Comics Anthology. I'll see you guys later. That is all.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media. Do you like making comics? Then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more. And best of all, it's totally free.